The trading station hummed, with countless voices speaking in dozens of alien tongues. Merchants called out prices for exotic goods while travelers rushed past with their luggage floating behind them. Steam rose from food stalls, selling strange delicacies that smelled of spices Marcus had never encountered. The air itself seemed alive with energy and possibility, but in the corner, where the bright lights barely reached, something else caught his attention. Small figure sat perfectly still against the cold metal wall. So quiet she might have been invisible. Her thin arms wrapped around her knees, and her large eyes stared at nothing. She looked no older than 10 in human years, though with alien children it was hard to tell. Marcus Vale paused in his journey across the station. He had been heading to Dock Bay 7, where his cargo ship waited. But something about the child made him stop. She was not like the other beggars who called out for coins or food. This one sat in complete silence, as if she had given up hope entirely. Her skin had a pale blue tint that seemed to glow faintly in the shadows. Her clothes were nothing more than torn rags that had once been white. Her feet were bare and dirty, and Marcus could see her ribs through the gaps in her shirt. What struck him most was her stillness. She did not move, did not beg, did not even seem to breathe. "Poor thing looks half dead," he muttered to himself, reaching into his travel pack for the sandwich he had saved for later. The girl did not notice him approach until he knelt down beside her, eyes lifted slowly, filled with a wariness that no child should possess. "Hey there," Marcus said softly, unwrapping the food. "You look hungry." He placed the sandwich on the ground between them, along with a bottle of water from his pack. The girl stared at the offering, as if it might disappear if she blinked dot around. Other travelers began to notice what was happening. Marcus heard whispers in various languages, most of which he could not understand. But the tone was clear enough. Disapproval, warning, disgust. It's an alien with 4 arms and crystal-like. Skin approached him. "Human, you should not feed that one," the creature said, in accented Galactic standard. "She carries bad fortune. Her bloodline is forbidden here." Marcus looked up at the speaker with confusion. "She's just a hungry child. What harm could there be in giving her food?" The 4-armed alien shook its head vigorously. "Her people were cast out generations ago. They bring nothing but trouble. The station authorities allow her to exist here only because exile is worse than death for her kind. But anyone who helps her," the creature made a gesture that seemed to indicate cutting its own throat. Marcus felt anger rising in his chest. He looked down at the girl who had heard every word. Her shoulders had hunched even smaller, and tears were running down her cheeks. She pushed the sandwich back, toward him with shaking hands, as if trying to protect him from whatever curse she supposedly carried. "Keep your food," Marcus said firmly to the girl, pushing it back toward her, "and eat it all." Stood up and faced the 4-armed alien. "I don't believe in curses. I believe in hungry children who need help." The alien stepped back clearly. Shocked by his defiance, more whispers spread through the crowd. Marcus could feel dozens of eyes watching him as the girl picked up the sandwich with trembling fingers. She ate slowly at first, then faster as her hunger took over. She finished every crumb and drank the entire bottle of water. When she was done, the girl looked up at Marcus with eyes that seemed to glow brighter than before. She opened her mouth as if to speak, but no sound came out. Instead, she pressed her small hand against her heart and then pointed at him. Marcus understood the gesture. It was gratitude deeper than words could express. A station security guard, in black armor, appeared beside them. "Move along, human. You're causing a disturbance." Marcus stood slowly, his eyes never leaving the girl. "I was just helping someone who needed food." The guard's helmet reflected Marcus's face back at him. That someone is not supposed to receive help. It's against station regulations. Leave now or face consequences. Marcus clenched his fists, but knew better than to fight armed security. He gave the girl one last look and walked away, feeling every step like a betrayal. Behind him, the girl watched until he disappeared into the crowd. Whispers in the dark that night, Marcus could not sleep. His small quarters aboard his cargo ship felt cramped and airless. Every time he closed his eyes, saw the girl's face, the way she had looked at the sandwich, as if it were the most precious thing in the universe. The way she had silently thanked him before the guard forced him to leave, He had been trading in this sector for 3 years, but he had never seen anything like the reaction to his simple act of kindness. The other traders in the station's cantina had made their feelings clear when he tried to eat dinner there. Conversations stopped when he entered. People moved away from his table. The bartender served him with obvious reluctance. "You're the one who fed the exile's child," a gruff voice said behind him. Marcus turned to see a heavily scarred alien who looked like he might once have been a soldier. That was either very brave or very stupid. "Maybe both," Marcus replied, taking a sip of his drink. "But I'd do it again." The scarred alien sat down without invitation. "You don't understand what you've done." Her kind were banished because they carry genetic markers that supposedly bring misfortune to entire worlds. Superstition, maybe, but superstition with real consequences. Marcus set down his glass harder than necessary. "She's a child, a starving child. I don't care what genetic markers she carries." The alien leaned closer, lowering his voice. "The mother is still alive, you know? She hides in the old maintenance tunnels beneath level 7. Some say she's planning something desperate." "What? Kind of something?" The scarred alien shrugged. "Who knows? But desperate people do dangerous things, especially when their children are dying." He stood up and walked away, leaving Marcus alone with his troubled thoughts. Marcus finished his drink and returned to his ship, but sleep still would not come. Around midnight, he made a decision that would change everything. He gathered more food from his emergency supplies and made his way to level 7. The maintenance tunnels were darker than space itself. Marcus used a small flashlight to navigate. The narrow passages, following signs and arrows that had been painted on the walls decades ago. The air smelled of rust and recycled atmosphere. His footsteps echoed strangely in the confined space. He had been walking for nearly an hour when he heard it, a soft sound that might have been crying. He followed the sound deeper into the tunnel system until he came to a wider area that had once been used for equipment storage. His light revealed 2 figures huddled together in the corner. The girl from the market looked up at his approach, her eyes reflecting his flashlight like a cat's. Beside her sat a woman who was clearly her mother. The family resemblance was obvious. The same pale blue skin, the same luminous eyes, the same delicate bone structure. But where the girl looked fragile, the mother looked fierce. "Who are you?" the woman demanded, pulling her daughter closer. Her voice carried an accent Marcus had never heard before. "What do you want with us?" Marcus held up his hands to show. He meant no harm. "I'm the one who gave your daughter food today. I brought more." The woman's expression shifted from suspicion to surprise. The girl tugged at her mother's sleeve and spoke rapidly in their native language. Marcus caught his name in the mix of alien words and saw the woman's face change again, this time to something that might have been gratitude. "You are the human traitor," she said finally. "Zara told me what you did. Why did you help her?" Marcus set down his pack and began unpacking food containers because she was hungry, because she needed help, because it was the right thing to do. The woman Naya, he learned her name was, watched him carefully as he arranged the food between them. "The right thing," she repeated slowly. "We have not encountered much of what humans call the right thing." Zara had already moved toward the food, but she waited for her mother's permission before touching anything. "Eat," Naya said softly. The girl fell upon the meal with desperate hunger, just as she had in the market. Marcus watched, his heart aching. At the sight, "How long has it been since you've had a real meal?" Naya's laugh was bitter. "Define real meal." "We eat scraps when we can find them. The station allows us to exist here, but existence is all they allow." She took some food for herself, eating more slowly than her daughter, but with obvious relief. "We are not supposed to receive charity. You've broken their rules by helping us." "Then their rules are wrong," Marcus said simply. Naya studied his face in the dim light. "You speak as if right and wrong are simple things, as if the universe operates on human principles of fairness and justice, don't they?" Naya shook her head. "My people learned otherwise when we were cast out from our homeworld, when our genetic heritage was declared cursed, when our children became untouchable. It was still Jazara who was still eating. She has never known kindness from strangers. It's only fear and hatred." Marcus felt something twist in his chest. "That's going to change." I won't let her go hungry again." The words came out before he could stop them, and he realized he meant every one. The next morning brought new challenges that Marcus had not anticipated. Word of his repeated contact with the exiled family had spread throughout the station. When he tried to purchase supplies for his ship, vendors either refused to serve him or charged triple the normal prices. The harbor master informed him that his docking fees had suddenly increased by 200%. "You're becoming quite unpopular," Captain Torres, an old friend, told him over breakfast in the officers' mess. "The station council is meeting about you this afternoon. They're calling it a public health concern." Marcus pushed his food around. On his plate, having lost his appetite, public health? That's ridiculous, is it? Torres leaned forward, lowering his voice. "These people genuinely believe that family carries some kind of genetic curse. Right or wrong, that belief affects everything. Trade relationships, political alliances, social stability. You're disrupting their entire worldview by showing kindness to the outcasts." "Good," Marcus said firmly. "Maybe their worldview needs disrupting." Torres sighed. "Marcus, you're one man against an entire station full of people who see your actions. As dangerous and foolish, you can't save everyone." "I'm not trying to save everyone, just one woman and her daughter." Marcus stood up from the table. "I need to check on them. Make sure they're safe." Torres grabbed his arm. "Be careful, my friend. Martyrdom might feel noble, but it won't help anyone if you're dead or imprisoned." Marcus made his way back to the maintenance tunnels, carrying fresh supplies and a plan that was still forming in his mind. He found Naya and Zara in the same spot, though they had cleaned up the area somewhat. Zara ran to him with a smile, the first smile he had seen from her. "Marcus," she called out in her heavily accented Galactic standard. Hearing her speak his name sent warmth through his chest that he had not expected. Naya rose more slowly, her expression guarded but no longer hostile. "I brought more food," he said, setting down his pack, "and I've been thinking. You can't stay down here forever. These tunnels are cold and dangerous." Naya nodded slowly. "We know, but we have nowhere else to go. No world will accept us, and few stations allow even this much." Marcus took a deep breath. "Come with me, back to my ship. You'll be safe there and comfortable. We can figure out a permanent solution while you recover your strength." The suggestion hung in the air between them like a challenge to fate itself. "That would put you in even greater danger," Naya said quietly. "The station authorities will not tolerate open defiance of their regulations." Marcus moved closer to her, close enough to see the flecks of silver in her luminous eyes. "Let me worry about the authorities. Zara needs proper food, medical attention, and a warm place to sleep. I can provide all of that." For a moment, Naya seemed to waver. Then, Zara took her mother's hand and spoke rapidly in their native language. Marcus watched the interplay between them, the daughter's hopeful urgency, the mother's protective caution. Finally, Naya nodded. "We will come with you," she said. "But only until we can find another way. We will not make you a target of their hatred." The journey through the station corridors to Marcus's ship felt like a march through enemy territory. Other travelers stepped aside or turned away entirely when they saw the small group approaching. Security guards followed at a distance, their hands resting on their weapons. Marcus's cargo vessel, the Meridian Drift, was modest but well maintained. He had converted one of the smaller cargo bays into comfortable living quarters during his years of solo trading. Aya and Zara stood in the main corridor, looking around with wonder at what was to Marcus a simple working ship. "It's beautiful," Zara whispered, touching the polished metal walls. "I've never been inside a real spaceship before." Marcus smiled, seeing his vessel through her eyes. "It's home. It's yours for as long as you need it." He showed them to the guest quarters, which had a proper bed, a small table, and most importantly, a door that could lock from the inside. Naya sat heavily on the bed as if her legs could no longer support her weight. "Thank you," she said simply. "We have not felt safe in Naya cannot remember how long." Marcus knelt beside the bed, bringing himself to her eye level. "You're safe now. Both of you. I give you my word." There was something in Naya's expression that made his heart beat faster, a vulnerability beneath her fierce protective exterior. When she looked at him, he saw not just gratitude, but something deeper, more personal. The moment stretched between them until Zara climbed onto the bed beside her mother, breaking the spell. "Will you stay with us tonight?" the girl asked innocently. "I have bad dreams sometimes." Marcus glanced at Naya, who nodded almost imperceptibly. "Of course, I'll be right here." That night, Marcus slept in a chair beside their bed, watching over them as they rested peacefully for the first time in months. But he knew their troubles were far from over. Station security would come soon, and when they did, he would have to make the hardest choice of his life. 3 days passed in relative peace aboard the Meridian Drift. Marcus watched Naya and Zara slowly begin to relax, the constant tension leaving their shoulders as they realized they were truly safe. Zara explored every corner of the ship with childlike wonder, while Naya helped Marcus with small repairs and maintenance tasks. Her people, she explained, had always been skilled with technology. "Your hands are steady," Marcus observed, as Naya rewired a faulty navigation panel. "You would make an excellent engineer," she smiled, the first genuine smile he had seen from her. "I was training to be one before everything changed, before we were exiled." They were working close together in the cramped engineering compartment, their shoulders touching as they bent over the circuitry. Marcus found himself acutely aware of her presence, the way she moved with precise grace. The soft sound of her breathing, the subtle scent that reminded him of spring rain on distant worlds. "Tell me about your people," he said quietly. "Before the exile, what were they like?" Naya's hands stilled on the tools. "We were scientists, artists, philosophers. We believed that genetic diversity was the key to evolution, to growth. We experimented with controlled mutations, with expanding the possibilities of what our species could become." "That doesn't sound like something worth exile for," Marcus said. Naya's expression darkened. "One of our experiments went wrong, a plague that killed thousands on our homeworld. Even though it was an accident, even though we tried to fix it, we were blamed. All of us, every family, every child born with the genetic markers of our research." Marcus reached over and covered her hand with his. "I'm sorry, that's not justice." The touch sent electricity through both of them. Naya looked down at their joined hands, then up at his face. "You are unlike any human I have heard described. Why do you care so much about strangers?" "You're not strangers anymore," Marcus said simply. The words hung between them, loaded with meaning that neither quite dared to acknowledge. They were from different species, different worlds, different social castes according to this station's cruel hierarchy. But in the soft light of the engineering compartment, none of that seemed to matter. Naya leaned closer to him, her luminous eyes reflecting the instrument panels around them. "Marcus," she whispered, and his name on her lips sounded like a prayer. He cupped her face gently with his free hand, marveling at how her skin seemed to glow under his touch. "Is this wrong?" he asked softly. "Is this crossing too many lines?" Naya shook her head slowly. "After everything we've lost, everything we've endured, how can finding something beautiful be wrong?" When he kissed her, it felt like coming home to a place he had never been. Her lips were soft and warm, and she tasted like hope and starlight. They held each other in the narrow space between the machinery, hearts beating in synchronization. Across the gap between species, the moment was interrupted by Zara's voice calling from the main corridor. "Mama, Marcus, where are you?" They separated reluctantly, both breathing hard. Aya's cheeks had flushed to a deeper blue, and Marcus felt his own face burning. "We should go to her," Naya said, but she did not move away from him immediately. Instead, she traced the line of his jaw with her fingertips. "But this is not finished between us." Marcus caught her hand and kissed her palm. "No, it's not." They found Zara in the ship's small galley, trying to reach something on a high shelf. Marcus lifted her easily, marveling at how light she was. "What are you looking for, little star?" "The sweet cakes you showed me yesterday," Zara said, pointing to a container on the top shelf. "I wanted to surprise Mama with breakfast." Naya laughed, a sound like silver bells. "You are too thoughtful, my heart. But let Marcus help you with the cooking. Those cakes are tricky to prepare, as they work together to make breakfast." Marcus found himself studying this makeshift family he had somehow acquired. Zara chattered happily as she mixed ingredients, while Naya moved around the small galley with increasing confidence, and for the first time since he had started trading solo, Marcus's ship felt truly alive. "Marcus," Zara said seriously, looking up at him with those enormous luminous eyes. "Are you going to be our family now?" The question caught him off guard. He glanced at Naya, who had gone very still. "Would you like that little star?" Zara nodded vigorously. "I never had a father. Mama says mine died before I was born, but you take care of us like a father would, like a husband would take care of his wife." The child's innocent observation hung in the air, making both adults acutely aware of what was developing between them. "Zara," Naya said gently, "Marcus has his own life, his own responsibilities. We cannot expect him to change everything for us." But Marcus knelt down to Zara's level, taking her small hands in his. "What if I want to change everything? What if taking care of you and your mama is the most important thing I've ever done?" Tears began to gather in Naya's eyes. "You cannot mean that. We are exiles, cursed beings. You would be giving up your freedom, your future." Marcus stood and walked to her, taking her in his arms, despite Zara's delighted giggles. "My future is what I choose to make it," he said firmly, "and I choose you. Both of you." When he kissed Naya this time, it was with Zara's approval and blessing, the child clapping her hands with joy at seeing her mother finally. Was truly happy, but their happiness was short-lived. The ship's communication system began beeping with an incoming message, a harsh, official-sounding transmission that would change everything once again. The message was from Station Security Commander Vex, his mechanical voice crackling through the ship's communication system with cold authority. "Human vessel Meridian Drift, you are harboring illegal refugees in violation of station health and safety protocols. You have 1 hour to surrender the exiles for proper deportation or face criminal charges and permanent banishment from this sector." Marcus felt Naya stiffen in his arms. Zara's joyful expression crumbled into fear as she understood the meaning behind the harsh words. "They found us," she whispered. "They always find us." Marcus held them both tighter. "They haven't won yet. Still have options." But even as he spoke, Marcus could see security vessels moving into position around his ship through the main viewport. They were trapped, outnumbered, and outgunned. The station authorities had finally decided to end what they saw as his dangerous defiance of their social order. "I have to go with them," Naya said quietly. "If I surrender, they might let you keep your ship and your freedom. Zara and I will find another way to survive." Marcus shook his head firmly. "No, we stay together, all of us." "Marcus, be reasonable," Naya pleaded. "You cannot sacrifice everything for people you barely know." He cupped her face in his hands, looking directly into her luminous eyes. "I love you, both of you. That means we face whatever comes next as a family." The words seemed to surprise him as much as they surprised her. Love, he had not planned to say it so soon, but facing the possibility of losing them made him realize how true it was. Naya's tears began to flow freely. "And I love you," she whispered, "more than I thought possible. But love should not lead to destruction." Before Marcus could respond, his ship's proximity alarms began sounding. Another vessel was approaching fast, not station security, but something else entirely, through the viewport. Marcus saw a familiar ship, bearing the insignia of the Independent Traders Guild. His heart leaped as he recognized the sleek lines of the vessel. It was Captain Torres, his old friend, arriving with what looked like a full escort of guild ships. The communication system crackled to life again, but this time with Torres's cheerful voice. "Marcus, old friend, I hope you're ready to leave this charming little station. You have a window of about 10 minutes before things get very unfriendly here." Marcus grabbed the communicator eagerly. "Torres, how did you know? Word travels fast." "In trader circles, the Guild Council decided that Station Kepler 7's treatment of independent contractors has become unacceptable. We're here to collect our people and take our business elsewhere. That includes you and your passengers." Naya looked confused. "Passengers?" Torres's voice came back warm with humor. "That's right. As of this morning, Naya and Zara are registered as full crew members of the Meridian Drift engineers. I believe the paperwork says." The guild doesn't recognize the station's authority to deport guild crew members. Marcus felt hope blazing in his chest. You magnificent bastard, Torres. How did you manage that? Let's just say the guild has some influence in high places. And some of us remember what it's like to be refugees ourselves. Get your engines warm, Marcus. We're leaving in 5 minutes. The next few minutes passed in a blur of activity. Marcus fired up his ship's engines while Naya and Zara secured everything for immediate departure. Station security tried to maintain their blockade, but the guild ships had superior numbers and firepower. More importantly, they had legal jurisdiction. That trumped local authority as the Meridian Drift pulled away from Kepler 7 station. Marcus felt a weight lifting from his shoulders that he had not even realized was there. They were free, truly free for the first time since this adventure began. Naya sat in the co-pilot's seat beside him, her hand resting on his arm as they watched the stars wheel past. Where will we go now? She asked quietly. The guild has colony worlds that welcome refugees, Marcus explained. New Harmony, Edens, Gate, places where genetic heritage doesn't matter. Where Zara can go to school and make friends like a normal child. Zara bounced excitedly in her jump seat behind them. Real school? With other children who won't be afraid of me? Marcus turned to smile at her. Not just school, little star. A real home. All of us together. 3 months later, Marcus stood on the balcony of their new home on New Harmony, watching Zara play with a group of human and alien children in the garden below. She had gained weight and color, her laughter ringing out clear and bright as she chased her new friends around the flowering trees. Naya emerged from their bedroom. Her hair still tousled from sleep, wearing one of Marcus's shirts that fell to her knees. She wrapped her arms around him from behind, resting her head against his shoulder. She's so happy, Naya murmured. Never thought I would see her laugh like that. She deserves happiness, Marcus replied, covering her hands with his own. You both do. They had been married in a simple ceremony the week before with Torres, and half the guild fleet in attendance. It had been the happiest day of Marcus's life. Have I told you today that I love you? Naya asked, pressing a kiss to his neck. Marcus turned in her arms, marveling as always at her otherworldly beauty. Only about a dozen times. But I never get tired of hearing it. Good, she said, standing on her toes to kiss him properly. Because you're going to be hearing it for the rest of our lives. As they held each other in the morning sunlight with Zara's laughter floating up from the garden, Marcus reflected on how much his life had changed from that first moment in the station. Marketplace, he had thought he was simply feeding a hungry child. Instead, he had found his family, his purpose, and his home among the stars. Sometimes the greatest adventures began with the smallest acts of kindness. Sometimes love really could conquer the darkness between worlds,